Don't sign those papers tomorrow morning. That's what David whispered to me outside the coffee shop on Madison Avenue, his hand gripping my arm so tight it hurt. His eyes darted around like he expected someone to jump out from behind the parked cars. It's a trap, Sophia. You'll be liable for everything, every single dollar. Then he pressed something into my palm, a flash drive, and disappeared into the crowd before I could even ask what he meant. I stood there on the sidewalk, my latte growing cold in my hand, staring at the tiny piece of plastic that somehow felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. David Chen, the man my husband Ethan had fired 18 months ago for what he called financial irregularities. The man I'd been secretly helping ever since finding him, consulting gigs, lending him money when his daughter needed braces, connecting him with my architect friends who needed a sharp CFO. I'd done it all behind Ethan's back because something about that firing never sat right with me. David had worked for my husband for 6 years. He'd been at our wedding. He'd held our daughter Emma when she was born. And then one day, Ethan came home and said David had been stealing from the company, and that was that. No police report, no investigation, just gone. But Ethan had been so convincing. These things are delicate, Soph. If word gets out, it could tank the whole company. I'm handling it quietly to protect everyone's jobs. I'd believed him. God, I'd believed everything. That was 2 years ago, when I still thought I knew my husband. The flash drive burned in my pocket as I walked the 12 blocks to our penthouse in Tribeca. I needed time to think before I went home. Tomorrow morning, Ethan and I had an appointment with our lawyer to sign some papers transferring our beach house in the Hamptons into a new LLC. Tax purposes, he'd said. Perfectly normal. My accountant recommended it. I'd been about to sign without question. I trusted my husband. We'd been married for 23 years. The doorman greeted me with his usual smile. "Good afternoon, Mrs. Whitmore." "Hi, James." I tried to sound normal, but my voice came out strange and thin. Our apartment was empty. Ethan was at his office in Midtown, like always. His tech startup had taken off 5 years ago, some revolutionary AI software for financial forecasting that I never fully understood. All I knew was that we'd gone from comfortable to wealthy, from a Brooklyn brownstone to a penthouse with views of the Hudson River. I sat down at my desk in what used to be a second bedroom before it became my home office. I'd been working from here more often lately, ever since that big commercial project fell through last year. My architecture firm had taken some hits during the pandemic, and I'd scaled back, taking on smaller residential projects. Ethan had been supportive, telling me to take my time, not to stress about money. "I've got us covered, babe. Focus on designs you actually love." I'd thought he was being the perfect husband. I plugged in the flash drive with shaking hands. What I found made my blood run cold. Spreadsheets, dozens of them, bank accounts I'd never heard of, money moving in patterns that looked like, I didn't know what, but I knew what money laundering looked like from the crime shows I watched, and this looked exactly like that. Offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, shell companies with names like Apex Consulting Group and Harbor Investment Partners, money coming in from my husband's company, washing through these entities, and ending up where? I scrolled down, and then I saw it. The LLC we were supposed to sign tomorrow, the one for our beach house, was right there in the middle of this web. If I signed those papers, I wouldn't just be transferring our vacation home. I'd be making myself a co-owner of a company that was receiving laundered money. I'd be legally liable for everything. My phone buzzed. "Ethan. Hey babe, running late. Don't wait up for dinner. Love you." I stared at the message. 3 words that used to make me smile now felt like lies. I needed help, but who could I trust? My best friend Rachel had moved to Seattle last year. My parents were gone. Emma was away at Cornell, and I couldn't drag my 20-year-old daughter into this. Ethan's family? His mother had passed when he was young. His father was remarried and lived in Florida. There was only, his sister. Lily Whitmore had always been different from her brother. Where Ethan was smooth and polished, Lily was blunt and tough. She ran a non-profit helping domestic violence survivors. We'd never been particularly close, but she'd said something to me at Thanksgiving last year that stuck with me. We'd been in the kitchen, just the 2 of us, and she'd looked at me with these sad eyes and said, "You deserve better, Sophia. You know that, right?" I'd laughed it off. "What are you talking about?" "Ethan's wonderful." She'd just shaken her head and walked away. I pulled up her number. "Sophia?" She sounded surprised. "We rarely called each other. Is everything okay? I need to talk to you. In person. Can you meet me somewhere Ethan won't see us?" There was a pause. Then, "I've been waiting for this call. Come to my office. I'll text you the address." 2 hours later, I was sitting in Lily's cramped office in the Bronx, watching her face go pale as she looked through the documents on the flash drive. "Jesus Christ," she whispered. "Sophia, do you know what this is? Money laundering? It's worse than that." She pulled up another file. "These accounts? They're connected to Vincent Moretti." The name meant nothing to me. "Vincent is our mother's brother," Lily said quietly. "Our uncle. He's been in and out of federal prison for racketeering, loan sharking, the family business, if you want to call it that." My mouth went dry. "Ethan never mentioned." "Of course he didn't." Lily's laugh was bitter. "Our mom spent her whole life trying to protect us from her family. She married our dad to get away from them, and when she died, I thought we were free. But Vincent," she rubbed her face, "Vincent's been circling Ethan for years. Ever since the company started making real money. But why would Ethan? Because Vincent has leverage." Lily pulled out her phone and showed me a photo. It was old, grainy, from a security camera. 2 teenage boys, one of them clearly a young Ethan, running out of a convenience store. When Ethan was 16, Vincent convinced him to rob a store. Said it was a family loyalty test. Got caught on camera, but Vincent had connections made it all disappear. He's been holding it over Ethan's head ever since. I felt sick. He's been blackmailing him? Extorting him is more accurate. Use your fancy company to clean my money or I'll make sure that video resurfaces. Statutory limits be damned, I'll destroy your reputation. Lily's voice was hard. I've suspected for a while, but I couldn't prove anything. Ethan shut me out years ago, stopped returning my calls. That's how I knew Vincent had gotten to him. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me? Her eyes met mine. You were in love. He was giving you everything. I had no proof, just suspicions and a bad feeling. I tried to warn you at Thanksgiving, but she was right. I wouldn't have believed her. What do I do? My voice broke. We're supposed to sign those papers tomorrow morning at 9. Lily looked at the clock. It was already 7 p.m. You don't sign, obviously. But more than that. She pulled out a business card from her desk drawer. I have a contact, FBI. She's helped some of my clients in the past when their abusers had criminal connections. Her name is Agent Sarah Rodriguez. She specializes in financial crimes and organized crime. You want me to go to the FBI? Against my own husband? Sophia. Lily grabbed my hands. If you sign those papers tomorrow, you become part of this. Vincent will make sure of it. And when this all comes crashing down, you'll go to prison too. Is that what you want? To throw away your life for a man who's been using you? The word stung. Using me. Was that what this was? I thought about the last 2 years. The way Ethan had encouraged me to scale back my work, to focus on smaller projects. Had he been trying to make me financially dependent on him? The way he'd insisted on handling all our finances. You're busy with your designs, babe. Let me deal with the boring money stuff. I'd thought he was being helpful. There's more, Lily said softly. She pulled up another file. The Beach House LLC? It's not just about liability. Once you sign those papers, the house becomes a company asset. If Vincent needs to liquidate assets quickly, he can force a sale. You'd lose your beach house, Sophia. The place where you and Emma spent every summer. Your mom's favorite place. Tears burned my eyes. My mother had died in that house, peacefully, on the deck overlooking the ocean, with me holding her hand. It was the last place I'd felt truly happy before everything got complicated. I'll call the agent, I whispered. Lily squeezed my hand. I'll come with you. Agent Rodriguez met us at a diner in Queens at 10 p.m. She was younger than I expected, maybe 40, with sharp eyes that took in everything. I handed her the flash drive. She plugged it into her laptop right there at the table and started scrolling. Her expression never changed, but I saw her jaw tighten. Mrs. Whitmore, how did you obtain this? I told her about David. About the firing, about how I'd been helping him. David Chen. She pulled up something on her screen. We've had our eye on your husband's company for 6 months. Mr. Chen came to us 4 months ago with some preliminary information, but he didn't have enough for us to move forward. She tapped the screen. This is enough. David's been working with you? He's been trying to. He knew something was wrong when your husband fired him. The financial irregularities your husband accused him of? Mr. Chen discovered them because he was doing his job. He found discrepancies and tried to report them to your husband. That's why he was fired. Your husband couldn't risk him digging deeper. Everything clicked into place. The guilt I'd felt for helping David behind Ethan's back. The way Ethan had gotten so angry when I'd once mentioned running into David at a coffee shop. I told you to stay away from that thief, Sophia. He hadn't wanted me talking to David. Hadn't wanted us comparing notes. What happens now? I asked. Agent Rodriguez closed her laptop. Tomorrow morning, you're supposed to sign papers at 9 a.m. Do you know where? Our lawyer's office. Midtown. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to go to that appointment. You're going to act completely normal. And right before you sign, you're going to excuse yourself to use the bathroom. That's when we'll move in. My heart hammered. You want me to wear a wire? No. Too risky if your husband's uncle has people watching. But we'll have agents positioned in the building. We've been building a case against Vincent Moretti for 2 years. Your husband is the key we needed. Once we have him on record trying to get you to sign those papers, making you an accessory, we have conspiracy. We have intent. We can flip him. Flip him? Get him to testify against Vincent in exchange for a lighter sentence. I felt dizzy. Prison? Ethan's going to prison? Mrs. Whitmore. Agent Rodriguez's voice softened just slightly. Your husband has been laundering money for a criminal organization. He's been doing it for at least 3 years, based on these records. And he was about to make you complicit. If we hadn't intervened, you'd be facing 20 years in federal prison. 20 years. I thought about Emma. About missing her graduation, her wedding, her children. About growing old in a cell because I'd been stupid enough to trust my husband. Okay, I said, I'll do it. Lily drove me home at midnight. Ethan's car was in the garage. He'd come home while I was gone. You can do this, Lily said as I got out. Just act normal. 1 more night, then it's over. I walked into our apartment. Ethan was on the couch, watching TV. Hey, babe, where were you? He smiled at me. That same warm smile that used to make my heart flutter. Just out walking. Couldn't sleep. He patted the couch next to him. Come here. Let's watch something together. I sat down, and he put his arm around me, and I wanted to scream. This man, who I'd loved for 23 years, who I'd built a life with, who I'd trusted with everything, he'd been willing to send me to prison to save himself. You ready for tomorrow? He asked casually. The lawyer said it'll be quick, just a couple signatures. Ready as I'll ever be, I said, and somehow I kept my voice steady. That night, I lay awake next to him, listening to him breathe, wondering how I'd been so blind. The next morning, I put on my nicest suit, navy blue, professional. I wanted to look good, confident, strong, for what came next. We took a car service to the lawyer's office. Ethan held my hand in the back seat. This is good for us, Soph. Smart financial planning. When Emma has kids, this house will be protected for them. He was so convincing. If I didn't know better, I'd believe him. The lawyer's office was on the 42nd floor of a glass tower in Midtown. We checked in with the receptionist, a young woman with a bright smile who had no idea what was about to happen. Mr. and Mrs. Whitmore, Mr. Patterson will see you now. Gerald Patterson was a man in his 60s, gray-haired and expensive-looking. He shook our hands warmly. This should be very straightforward, he said, pulling out documents. Standard LLC formation. You're transferring the property located at 42 Ocean View Drive, Southampton, into Whitmore Holdings LLC. Mrs. Whitmore, you'll be listed as a 50% member. Mr. Whitmore, 50%. Joint Management Authority. He slid the papers across his mahogany desk. I picked up the pen. My hand shook just slightly. Ethan noticed. You okay, babe? Just nervous. Big decision. It's the right decision, he said firmly. I looked at the signature line, looked at my name typed there. Sophia Marie Whitmore. 23 years of marriage. 1 signature. Prison. Actually, I said, setting down the pen. I need to use the restroom first. I'll be right back. Ethan frowned. Can't it wait? This'll take 2 minutes. Female biology, honey. I tried to smile. I'll be quick. I walked out of the office, down the hallway, toward the restrooms. And that's when everything happened at once. The elevator doors opened, and 6 agents in FBI jackets poured out. Ethan Whitmore, you're under arrest for money laundering and conspiracy to commit fraud. I heard him shout my name. I turned around. He was standing in the doorway of the lawyer's office, his face white with shock as agents cuffed his hands behind his back. Sophia! Sophia! What did you do? Our eyes met across that hallway. I protected myself, I said quietly. Like I should have done 2 years ago. Mrs. Whitmore. Agent Rodriguez appeared at my elbow. You're safe now. Let's get you out of here. They took me to a safe house. Just for a few days, they said, until they arrested Vincent Moretti and his associates. There was a small risk of retaliation. Lily stayed with me. So did David, who I learned had been living in protective custody for months. I'm sorry, he said to me on the second night, as we sat in the bland living room of the safe house. I wanted to warn you sooner, but the FBI wouldn't let me approach you directly. When I saw you coming out of that coffee shop yesterday morning, and I knew you had that appointment today, I couldn't let you walk into that trap. You risked yourself to save me, I said. You saved me first. His smile was sad. When Ethan fired me, I lost everything. My reputation, my career, my confidence. You gave me a lifeline. You believed in me when everyone else thought I was a thief. The least I could do was return the favor. 3 days later, Agent Rodriguez called. We've got everyone. Vincent Moretti, his associates, and your husband has agreed to cooperate. He's going to testify against his uncle. How long will Ethan be in prison? With cooperation and a plea deal? Probably 5 to 7 years. Without it, he was looking at 25. 5 to 7 years. He'd be 52 when he got out. Old enough to start over, maybe. If he could. And me? You're clear, Mrs. Whitmore. You didn't sign the papers. You cooperated fully. As far as the government is concerned, you're a victim and a witness, not a perpetrator. I should have felt relief. Instead, I just felt hollow. The divorce papers came 6 weeks later. Ethan signed them from prison without contest. I got the penthouse, the beach house no longer in an LLC, just in my name, and a fair division of our legitimate assets. Emma came home from Cornell for winter break. I told her everything, sitting at our kitchen table, watching her face cycle through disbelief, anger, heartbreak. I can't believe Dad would do this to you, she said, tears streaming down her face. He made a mistake when he was young, and he never found a way out, I told her. That doesn't excuse what he did. But I think he was trapped, honey, by his uncle, by his past, by his own pride. You're being too generous. Maybe I was. But I'd loved him once, and some part of me would always grieve for the man I thought he was. David called me in January. I got a job offer, CFO position at a nonprofit that builds affordable housing, good salary, great mission. They don't care about my history because the FBI cleared my name. That's wonderful, David. They need an architect, someone who understands urban development and can design buildings that are both affordable and beautiful. I recommended you. I took the job. 6 months later, I sat in my new office smaller than my home office in the penthouse, but with a window overlooking a community garden in Brooklyn, and I realized I was happy. Not the comfortable, complacent happiness I'd had before. Something different. Something I'd earned. My phone rang. Lily. How's the new project coming? Good. We're breaking ground on the first building next month. 50 units of affordable housing in the Bronx. David and I are working together to keep costs down without sacrificing design. Look at you, making a difference. I could hear the smile in her voice. Mom would be proud. My mother, who'd escaped her criminal family to build a better life, who'd married a good man and raised children who tried to be good people. One of us had succeeded. One of us had failed. Ethan called me last week, Lily said carefully. From prison. He wanted me to ask you if you'd visit him. What did you tell him? That I'd pass along the message. But Sophia, You don't owe him anything. You know that, right? I looked at the sketch on my desk. A building that would house 50 families, 50 second chances. I know, I said. But maybe I'll go. Not for him, for me, to see if there's anything left worth salvaging. And if there's not, then I'll know I tried. I hung up and looked out the window. The community garden was full of people, families planting vegetables, kids running through sprinklers, old men playing chess on makeshift tables. Life, messy and complicated and beautiful. I'd almost lost this, almost signed my name on a piece of paper and thrown away my freedom for a man who'd been willing to sacrifice me to save himself. But David had warned me, an unlikely hero, the man my husband had destroyed, who'd saved me in return for the small kindnesses I'd shown him when he was at his lowest. Kindness has a way of coming back, I whispered to myself. My computer pinged. An email from Emma. Mom, I've been thinking about changing my major. Architecture instead of business. Is that crazy? I want to build things that matter, like you're doing. I smiled, typing back. Not crazy at all, sweetheart. Come home this weekend and I'll show you the plans for the Brooklyn project. You can help me design the playground. The sun was setting over Brooklyn, painting the sky orange and pink. Tomorrow, I'd visit Ethan in prison. We'd talk, or we wouldn't. Either way, I'd be okay. Because I'd learned something in these past 6 months. I was stronger than I'd thought, smarter than I'd believed, and I didn't need anyone to save me. I could save myself. And maybe, just maybe, I could help save a few others along the way.